Tony D with a screenwriter's rant. Little Joan is asleep on the couch, and this is the Nan movie. Not the bread, but the Nan as in Nana, short for Nana, short for mom, grandma, or whatever older matriarch is taking care of you, I guess. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 7. Support the channel if you can. Buy a book. Kindle Unlimited. It's free. It's free. Excuse me. Itchy nose. So, yeah, this whole comedy movie. And we do need more comedies. It's out of UK and Ireland. This is like the equivalent of Martin Lawrence in a fat suit, except it's, I don't think she's, I think she's actually this age, or they made her up to be older, but it's like a character like that who's crazy, wacky, crazy woman, crazy old woman who drinks and parties when she shouldn't. Although there is more of a story here. They cut to her past, and this looks like the same actress in the role as a young person, so maybe they did just make her old and then make her younger in the scene, which is pretty cool. I like that better than CGI or fat suit stuff. So this is a flashback to her love, and of course this was probably during World War One, and she was in love with a black soldier, probably American, before no, maybe not, probably before it was acceptable, and she remembers that. So that's the one sort of poignant moment in it. But she plays an older person because, like here, the meter maid goes to give her a ticket for parking over 3 handicap spaces, but she has 3 handicap passes. And she flaunts them, and that's kind of a funny scene. So it doesn't look awful, but it is a bit like old versus young, but she's cooler. So they're sleeping in, I guess, a hostel, and then these guys are partying too loud, so she goes down there and lambaste them, and then she ends up going clubbing, and it's all about this road trip with her, I don't know if it's her nephew or her son, to go see her sister, maybe someone older who's dying, but she's old herself, I guess. It's kind of hard to tell. I guess that's her in makeup or CGI, or they made her younger in the other scene. I don't know. But Catherine Tate is the lead character, and I gotta say, she brings her A game here. I'm not a fan necessarily. I mean, I don't know her work, but March 18th in cinemas. I don't like part of it because it feels like they're just throwing rap music and having her party and drink and basically turning her into a cartoon character, and that part of it I don't like. It's a little too like pre-packaged comedy, if you know what I mean. But at the same time, because this is made in the Ireland and the UK, I think they still have, I still think the talent there is respected a little more than it is in the US. So they get some of the basics a little better. So they do have this flashback scene of her, which makes her character more real to me, gives her more depth. And they are talking about UK and Ireland things as opposed to just sort of generic things that, see, like in America, I think a lot of times that stuff gets taken out of the movies because they don't want to, we don't want to alienate the Southwest, or we don't want to offend certain groups of people. So they neuter the comedy. Here, it seems to be, for the kind of comedy you're going to do, and this is pretty slapsticky. See, she's drunk and partying. Ha ha ha. She's old and she's drunk and partying, and he's sort of like her nephew or whatever, is the straight man. And then I think the ending will be that she goes and visits her dying relative, and they make amends, and that it'll actually be sort of a dramatic peak, and that I think makes this movie a little better because it offsets the comedy. I think the problem with American comedies these days is, unless you hand the reins over to somebody who actually understands comedy, and a lot of times they micromanage things to death, you end up with a terrible movie that just sounds good on paper. You know, it sounded funny to do, was it Movie 42, I think it was called? Bunch of comedy sketches slapped together. It sounded funny. Like all the stuff that was pitched probably sounded very funny in a meeting, but the actual execution, no. And you have to be aware of your audience, right? So this can work for UK and Irish audience because they still have respect for their grannies. You know, I could totally see like a Tyler Perry doing the same damn movie. He pretty much did. You know, here's a scene where she bends over and farts in his face because they're staying in a hostel, and that's like a thing in Europe more so than here. So, I mean, I'm a little bit on the fence. I wouldn't go to a theater to see this. Unless, you know, maybe if I was dating someone from the UK or Ireland, I might. Because I think they would probably, and you know, the jokes would probably hit more for them than me. But I might watch this, like, on a Netflix or something, if I heard it was funny and sustainable. I gotta say, though, the jokes look a little... You know, even though they have those dramatic moments, the jokes still look pretty much like, oh, here's an old lady doing something like an old lady shouldn't be doing. You know, punching people, getting drunk, partying, you know, doing all these crazy things. And, you know, she's supposed to be old. I mean, she looks pretty old, but not like ancient, not like Betty White ancient, or Cloris Leachman ancient. Cloris Leachman, who looked old like for a long time. As soon as she hit like, I don't know, 40, like she looked like old woman, because that was her shtick. So I'm a bit on the fence. On the one hand, I want to kind of like the movie, but you know what really hurt is this packaging. The packaging of the trailer for me looked too much like those Martin Lawrence movies where he's in a fat suit, or The Clumps. I don't like the font reminds me of it, the music, the way it's cut, you know. It's kind of a turnoff because those movies I don't like. I don't find them funny. They're just kind of too much. So I'm associating those movies with this. Yeah, it's not going to read. It's only that one sort of serious scene that kind of almost saves it for me. It kind of says to me, maybe there's more to this character than it's just going to be 90 minutes of slapstick, because 90 minutes of slapstick is going to get boring unless it's like, to me, Jackass is funny because there's no pretense in it. They're not even trying to tell a story, right? They're just going to do a bunch of crazy stuff, and I know that going in. Here they're trying to tell a story, and with the Martin Lawrence stuff or the, I don't know, Eddie Murphy stuff, that it didn't feel like much of a story. It felt so secondary. Here it feels like a little more important. So yeah, I'm really on the fence. So the first act will be, here's Nan. Nan's a bit of a crazy old lady, and she doesn't want to go see her dying relative, but her nephew or son or whatever convinces her, oh, please go, Nan, come on, you'll regret it. And she reluctantly goes, or he tricks her, and then she's stuck on going. And then along the way, she drinks, and they stay in a hostel, and they party, and all these crazy things happen. Then in the third act, they finally get there, and Nan has to confront her feelings on the matter. And so it's, like I said, it's probably more of a dramatic sort of peak. Or maybe there's a funny moment there where the character dies but says something crazy and outrageous like her. Or it would be great that, you know, a positive ending could be something like, you know, they're, you know, she's not dying. that would be the most positive ending. Or that she, you know, they come back together and they laugh, and then it's like, wow, you know, I'm a happy person again, and you know, and that changes her in some way. So kind of almost talking myself into watching this movie. I definitely wouldn't see it in theaters. Oh, here we go. Catherine Tate's iconic character Nan, so I guess she's been doing this for a while, goes on a wild road trip from London to Ireland with her grandson. Oh, okay. See, she doesn't look old enough to be this guy's grandson, but all right. To make amends with her estranged sister. Okay, that makes sense. Militant vegan arsonist raucous rugby teams and all-night raves, and crazed cops on motorbikes all make for a proper day out. The origin story that mixes Nan's present with her past, where we finally find out what made her the cantankerous old bee she is today. The Nan movie released in cinemas in the UK and Ireland on March 18th. Oh, so we can't even get it here. Unless it does really well. So I guess she's been doing this character for a while, maybe on TV. And so this is the movie. So yeah, maybe I'd see it. Like I said, I'd probably see it like, yeah, and that's probably her. And now maybe they CGI'd her younger, or they just put the old makeup on her. Kind of can't tell. It's a good effect. So on the fence, but I'm leaning towards maybe seeing it. I would definitely see it on like a Netflix, or if I could see it for free, yeah, I'd be on board. Why not? So the Nan. So maybe some of you from the UK or Ireland can tell me a little more background on why this character is popular. Do you have like a Saturday Night Live type TV show where she appears, or did she have her own show? So, yeah, that's it for me. Tony D, Little Jones asleep on the couch. Make sure you check out our other 2 videos, our News Blast and our Hollywoke hot take on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble. We'll see you tomorrow.